Welcome to BBC International News. First I will tell you the news title and then the details. Breaking news, Israel-Gaza war, Kerem Shalom rocket attack kills 3 soldiers. Great news, Israeli forces told civilians to leave the area east of Rafah. Top news, protests spread to 13 countries, arrests continue in the United States. Update news, 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in a Hamas rocket attack, Israel retaliated. Listen to the news title so far, now listen to the details.
Israel-Gaza war. Kerem Shalom rocket attack kills 3 soldiers. Hamas's armed wing said it was responsible for the rocket attack in the Kerem Shalom border area. Photo. An Israeli doctor after the attack. Reuters. 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in a rocket attack by Hamas near a main crossing used for aid deliveries into Gaza, Israel said. Israel closed the Kerem Shalom crossing overnight following the strike. Israel's military said early Monday that it had called on Gazans sheltering in parts of the Rafah city to evacuate. It comes as talks aimed at securing a ceasefire deal in Gaza and the release of hostages have been suspended. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said 10 missiles were fired from an area near the Rafah crossing in southern Gaza, about 3.6 kilometers, 2.2 miles, from Kerem Shalom. Hamas's armed wing claimed responsibility and said the target was a nearby Israeli army base. The IDF said they were fired from a site about 350 meters from a civilian shelter. It called the launches another clear example of terrorist organizations' systematic exploitation of humanitarian facilities and spaces and their continued use of the civilian population of Gaza as human shields. Hamas has denied that it uses civilians as human shields. The Israeli military confirmed the counterattack in Rafah, saying it was the launcher from which the missile was fired and struck a nearby military structure. 2 Israeli strikes on Sunday killed at least 12 people, according to Gaza health officials. Gaza's ceasefire talks intensify in Cairo. The latest violence comes after 2 days of talks with mediators in Cairo, Egypt. There has been little progress, with both Israel and Hamas saying they will not base the original demands. But talks are expected to resume on Monday. Hamas said its delegation would travel to Qatar to consult with the group's leadership. CIA Chief William Barnes, who has been involved in mediation efforts, has left the Egyptian capital for talks in Doha, according to reports. The ceasefire proposal is believed to involve the release of hostages in Gaza and a 40-day break for several Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons. Hamas said it viewed the current proposal in a positive light, but the main sticking point appears to be whether the ceasefire agreement will be permanent or temporary. The state of Israel cannot accept this, Hamas's demands. We are not ready to accept a situation where Hamas brigades come out of their bunkers, take control of Gaza again, rebuild their military infrastructure, and come back threatening citizens. The south of Israel is everywhere. The settlement will be a terrible defeat for the state of Israel, he added. The fighting erupted on October 7th after waves of Hamas gunmen crossed the Gaza border into Israel, killing nearly 1,200 people and taking more than 250 hostages. Many Western countries have banned the group as a terrorist organization. During subsequent Israeli military operations in Gaza, more than 34,600 Palestinians were killed and more than 77,900 were injured, according to figures from the territory's Hamas-run health ministry. Mr. Netanyahu has faced pressure from within his far-right coalition to press ahead with a long-promised offensive on the southernmost Gaza city of Rafah, where an estimated 1.4 million people have fled fighting in the north and central region. The United States is reluctant to support a military operation that could cause significant civilian casualties and has insisted on looking at a plan to protect displaced Palestinians first. Early on Monday, the IDF said it was encouraging residents of the eastern area of Rafah City to move to an expanded humanitarian zone. As approved by the government, an ongoing situation assessment will guide the gradual movement of civilians in certain areas of East Rafah to humanitarian areas, read a statement posted on X, formerly Twitter. Israeli forces told civilians to leave the area east of Rafah. The Israeli military has ordered civilians living in Rafah, in the southern part of the Palestinian Gaza Strip, to evacuate a part of the city. However, it is not initially certain whether people have been asked to leave parts of the Rafah in preparation for the previously announced large-scale ground operation. In a statement on Monday, Israeli forces said civilians living in eastern Rafah were being encouraged to move to the nearest designated humanitarian zone. However, no deadline has been fixed for this. It's been 7 months since the Israeli offensive in Gaza. Millions of refugees have taken refuge in Rafah during this period. Although Israel claims countless Hamas fighters are now in Rafah, a massive operation will be conducted in the city to eliminate them. Protests spread to 13 countries. Arrests continue in the United States. Peace talks are underway in Cairo, Egypt, to reach an agreement between Israel and Hamas to implement a ceasefire in Gaza. This has led to renewed concerns about the ongoing peace talks and the future of Gaza under the direction of the Rafah evacuation. World Health Organization, WHO, Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has warned of the potential impact of the Israeli military operation on the nearly 1.2 million people taking refuge in Rafah. He said that if the Israeli forces invade and attack Rafah, there will be a river of blood. Israel raids Al Jazeera office in Jerusalem. The country's authorities searched a hotel room in Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, on Sunday. The room was used by Qatar-based television channel Al Jazeera as their office. Israeli authorities and Al Jazeera sources confirmed the search to Reuters. Earlier yesterday, the Israeli cabinet decided to close Al Jazeera's local operations during the ongoing Gaza war. The country claims Al Jazeera is a threat to Israel's national security. Video footage of the search incident has gone viral online. It shows plainclothed Israeli officials in a room dismantling cameras and other equipment. According to Al Jazeera's sources, the incident happened at their office in East Jerusalem. Al Jazeera referred to this activity of Israel as a criminal step. Allegations that the television channel is a threat to Israel's national security have been called dangerous and ridiculous lies. Al Jazeera says such accusations put its journalists at risk. In this situation, they have the right to take legal action. Israel launched a military operation in Gaza last October. Al Jazeera has been active in criticizing the operation ever since. They are promoting the news of that war seriously. For this, the media has come under the fire of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu said in a post on social media that the provocative channel Al Jazeera will be closed in Israel after the Israeli cabinet passed a resolution to shut down Al Jazeera by consensus. 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in a Hamas rocket attack. Israel retaliated. 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in a rocket attack near the Rafah area in southern Gaza. The Palestinian armed group Hamas claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, Palestinian health officials said that at least 19 people were killed in an attack by Israeli forces on Sunday.